Hello there, my name is Ink, and welcome to the Campfire. The story I'm about to tell you is called The Haunted House. Psh, this will be nothing for me, Greg said confidently. Don't worry, I promise you, I'll have you scared by the end of this, Chris retorted. Greg hated Halloween. It was his least favorite holiday, not because he hated the horror aspect in general, but because he had everyone convinced he was fearless when he wasn't. And everybody wants to scare the tough guy. He had been building up his reputation since he changed schools. Greg was known as a wimp in middle school, but his family moved to a new town just before high school, and Greg thought that would be the perfect time to reinvent himself. Fearless Greg. He had managed to avoid doing anything too nerve-wracking for the first couple of years by making up excuses to get out of horror movies or scary events, building his reputation by word of mouth alone. But this Halloween, his luck had run out, and he stood with his friend Chris at the entrance to a haunted house. This festival always had the best haunted houses, Chris explained. Greg looked at the dark entrance in awe. He had stalled as long as he could, convincing Chris to look around and get food first, hoping the haunted house would close early, but he wasn't so lucky. Greg was terrified, but he had snagged a metal knife from the meal and left it in his pocket for protection. He knew it was silly and unnecessary, but it calmed him slightly. They stepped in as a pair. As they walked, Greg's feigned confidence slowly became real. The plastic creatures and animatronics were hardly scary, almost humorously bad. The few jump scares from real people were obvious as they approached, leaving Greg unaffected. He was enjoying himself, right up until a red-gloved hand came from behind the curtain and grabbed Chris by the hair. Oh, hey look, they got me, Chris mocked. Greg laughed cautiously. This wasn't as telegraphed as the rest of the house. Then a second hand with a blade came out, stabbed Chris in the neck. Blood streamed and Chris's eyes rolled back. With no hesitation, Greg screamed and ran. He tore through the house, praying he'd find the exit. But the twists and turns left him discombobulated. Rounding yet another corner, he stopped in his tracks. A man blocked his path, tall, black suit, red gloves, bloodied, a devilish grin. He stepped towards Greg. Greg frenzied and, fearing for his life, sprinted at the man, pulling the knife out of his pocket and dug it deep into the man's eye. He dropped in an instant, blood gushing and covering Greg. He had no control anymore. His legs carried him mindlessly until finally he stumbled out through the house exit. Holy shit, Greg, are you alright? Silently, Greg looked up from the ground to see Chris, wiping fake blood from his neck and holding a blade, from here obviously retractable. Greg looked down at his bloody hands and wept.